Bernard. I'm happy to meet you today to actually be able to present to you some of the work that we've done with two other people, that is Bernard Alaka and Anthony Muyiro, all of us from one university, that is Strathmore University. The goal was actually to be able to address the challenge that's been there regarding security by lacking controls that can be able to enforce security within organizations based on the amount of damage in terms of security that has actually been witnessed in organization. Thank you. The most important thing is that we've had the technology adoption across various organizations, and this makes organizations to be more or less reliant on technology, which brings other challenges. One of the key challenges that we're going to address is actually security in terms of the information that is being stored. So with that, we have seen that there are actually many different security threats that have actually come up, which our work was geared towards addressing and ensuring that the threats are actually addressed. This is very interesting because the financial institution is the one that has actually been leading in terms of loss, or the one that has been targeted more, mainly because of the benefit that can be actually there. So if we check the number of dollars or shillings that has actually been lost in organizations, then you find that the amount 175 USD. This one is just the case of Kenya. We have other African countries which have also actually faced quite huge losses, financial losses. Kenya is actually, a year ago, Kenya was actually about number 3. We have other countries that are actually leading in terms of the losses in financial loss due to cyber-related crime. So the cause of this is actually this lapse in the IT controls, which will actually need to be enforced so that then we do not have many of these incidents. So one of the aspects that has actually been found is that the level of awareness is very important towards ensuring that we actually have controls that are put in place to address any security-related challenges across organizations. Of course, a number of studies have been done showing that different percentages are relating to what extent a certain aspect of security has actually been addressed. So we're talking about 21% of audit issues being related to information security and controls deficiencies. Then in addition to that, we have the need to be able to safeguard the organizations or the data of organizations by ensuring that we address any existing loopholes in the controls. So what do? We set up to actually develop a prototype that can be used to facilitate the assessment of IT controls by organizations. Now that will deviate from the traditional approaches so that then we have a more kind of automated approach that can be able to assist, and more proactive that can be able to assist in terms of being able to assess the controls for any organization. So the first objective was mainly to be able to examine the key IT controls in financial institutions, because our target of focus was actually financial institutions, was based on the data that we've seen that has actually been lost, and then the evaluation of what is already existing, just a bit of a literature study, checking the weaknesses of what is existing, again some more or less investigation and analysis of the same, and then be able to develop this particular prototype that you're proposing. So after that, then we subjected it to a number of tests, which I'll actually demonstrate in the presentation. So the approach that was used, the rapid application development, commonly used in for development or software-related projects, and it's related to being the iterative in nature. So with that, we picked a sample of financial institutions to be able to use so that we can ensure that we get the right requirements, and then the testing is also done as expected. So with that, then we got some requirements from the end users regarding, like the first one is actually incidents that are caused by gaps in IT controls, users giving feedback. So we have 41% agreeing with that the cyber incidents are actually caused by gaps in controls, but then we also have other things that can actually cause this, which is actually something that we expected to have other views on the same. Then efficiency of current control methods, that is for IT controls assessment. So just trying to assess and say that actually what we have is quite efficient. So we have different, okay, different views that we actually managed to get from those people from financial institutions that were actually targeted. Then manual is actually paper-based, the bit of ensuring that the controls are checked without using an automated system. Then indicating that it gives visibility of ineffective IT controls. Then we have, again, different ratings there. We have strongly disagree being the largest, 43%, and then 33 is actually disagreeing. Then again, more and more, just some of the results that we decided to include the PowerPoint. Then being able to check whether the self-assessment controls are actually subjective or not. Of course, that again, many people agreeing that, or actually indicating that they are quite subjective. And system-based, whether you will actually prefer and find it to be more accurate and effective. Again, many people actually agreeing with that. So with that, we managed to summarize the requirements just from the feedback views that we got from the different items that we gathered. One of them is that they need to actually be able to evaluate and test IT controls, defining the pass criteria, notifying the management in case there's an ineffective or deficient control. So the notification bit, the user interface, many people wanted it to be intuitive. That's often expected, usability aspect, and then things to do with accuracy of decision and so on. So then we went further to now start developing or coming up with the prototypes. There's now prototyping taking place and testing together. Before that, of course, then we have the architecture, which just represented everything. Then as kind of the first version of the prototype. Then at the top level, we have the browsers and so on, the graphical user interface. And then middle layer, you have the connectivity and the presentation aspects and connectivity also. And then the last bit, which is the backend, and where you have the language that is used, the PHP, where the web server, and so on. So we have a system. That is powered by a MySQL database that generates reports and is able to facilitate the assessment of controls by organizations. Now, this is just one of the interfaces that we have for what we came up with. You check that the controller actually logs in, and then they're able to access the controls actually on the from the dashboard that they actually they access at the first point. So you have all the items, the descriptions, the dates, the duration, which specific controls. So we can see the first one, firewall configuration and changes, problem management, incident management. So each one of these first on the dashboard, and then now you can take action against any of these. So what happens to assess a control? Then you select. Okay, you later indicate that it's a pass or a fail. Those are the two kind of criteria that we used. We didn't go beyond the two. And then in case it's a fail, then you need to indicate the nature of the failure, and then any notes and then provide attachment, which is often good, especially in this type of incidents where you like to give more or provide more information. So with that, then we have a whole deficiency log that can be generated, which again has the date of the period, the control itself, the description about the control, the deficiency itself, the name of the deficiency, and so on, whether there's lack of evidence or not, and all that. So you keep a log exactly what is it that relates to the control, the deficiency that you like to be reported. Now, with that, after having all those interfaces and the system that's been developed, which allows for the assessment to be done by using an automated process, the goal was then to try and test the testing phase, which was going hand in hand with the prototyping phase, to compare what the end users actually feel about this based on what they had actually indicated as their requirements. With that, then we have the user friendliness being found to be quite acceptable. The accuracy of the control assessment, again, assessment tool, which was then found to be also quite high, and then the willingness to adopt the system and the system and actually use it, which was also found to be high. So those are just some of the results, in addition to just what the application could actually do. And then you have the different types of tests and test results for each case. So we can, with that, we can then actually conclude that organizations actually use control assessment checklists. That is very common, and it's one of the things that we noticed. One of the weaknesses which we wanted to address, that instead of using checklists that is paper-based, then we come up with something that can be able to facilitate this entire process. So we explore evidence-based. Where there is actually evidence, we can see that there is this deficiency in this particular feature of the IT infrastructure. Then we provide a means of logging and being able to address those particular risks. So of course, with that, then we'll often, one of the items that we noticed was that to ensure that there is actually a multi-stakeholder engagement in terms of addressing IT control issues. Of course, the key limitation that we identified was the weakness to do with the implementation, general user acceptance challenges. Thank you. My contacts are there just in case you'd like to get in touch with me. But I appreciate that you have actually set aside some time to actually listen to my presentation. Thank you very much.